You think about in terms of this co-evolution of the work around brain-computer interfaces and maybe Neuralink and Elon seeing Neuralink in particular as its long-term mission as a symbiosis with artificial intelligence. So, like giving a greater bandwidth channel of communication between technology, AI systems, and the biological neural networks of our human mind. What do you think about this idea of connecting directly to the brain
Right.
in AI systems?
I mean, okay, I've listened to your podcasts with Elon. I've listened to Elon before. He's very intelligent, obviously super smart guy. I think this is already, I mean, not in the specific
Yeah.
ways that he is doing it, but I think we are already doing that. Okay. And I can give you some examples. And there are really trivial examples, but they do make the point. And this is one of them. So before he started this research on UFOs and UAPs and technology, I actually was looking at the effects of technology and in particular media on religion. And what I did was I was lucky to be asked to be a consultant for various movies. And one in particular I learned a lot from, and that was The Conjuring. So I was a history consultant for The Conjuring. It happens to be my field. It's Catholic studies, right? And you've got these people who are real people and they're, exorcising demons and things like that. Okay, so I thought, wow, this is a great example for me. I didn't do it for the money. It doesn't pay well, but I did it to learn, right?
Yeah.
So I work closely with the screenwriters who I work with now all the time. I work with them all the time now. And what I found was this. I found that as the most interesting part of the creation of this movie was the editing process, because they would use it would go through editing, and they would use test audiences, and a lot of the test audiences would be like, there's like these things where they test their flicker rates and things like that, the eye flicker rates, and so when it goes really intense, they go to UC Irvine and they do this thing called cognitive consumption, which is basically cognitive consumerism, where they basically hook test audiences up to EKGs and they read their brains.
Yeah.
And they figure out which scenes create the most
arousal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so they cut out all the other scenes. Okay. So what we're getting like this drug when we go to the movies or when we do video games or when we watch, we're literally physiologically responding to our technologies. So we're already there. We're already interfacing with them physiologically. So that's my example. Now, the kind of thing that he's doing, Musk is doing with Neuralink, I say go for it. That's awesome. I hope he does it. I'm fascinated. I want it to happen. Why do I want it to happen? Because I think that, well, first, it's inevitable that it's going to happen. I also want to point out that Jacques Vallée was trying to get this done back in the 60s and the 70s. He was writing papers about, in fact, the ARPANET, the proto-internet, was called Augmentation of the Human Intellect. So we've been doing this for a while, okay? So props to Elon Musk, but we've been thinking about this for a good time. We've even been visioning it. Okay. So there was a really interesting Jesuit priest. He was French, Teilhard de Chardin. I don't know if you know who he is. If not, he's fascinating. He was actually a soldier before he became a priest. And so he also saw what he called a biosphere. Now, this guy is talking in like the early 20th century, like the 1917, 19, that time period. And so basically he said and wrote about this thing called the noosphere. And he basically said, there will be a point when we merge with our technology, and it's going to be somewhat like some kind of a biosphere. We have this atmosphere, and then we have this stratosphere, and it's going to be this biosphere, and we're all going to be hooked into it mentally. So we'll be able to communicate in a way in which we don't communicate now. So, that sounds so similar to the singularity.
Yo. God damn, we back in this bitch for Mo. Go deep. Episode 243 in this bitch. 243 in this bitch. I'm sure it's 243. But this is gonna be a good episode. It's gonna be a real good episode because I think it's. Of course, I was just stalling right there. Because it is 2:43 and I didn't need to stall. So yeah, this is going to be a good episode. It's about neuromarketing. It's about data mining and data efficacy in the Snyder Cut movement. Yes, we need to know this because goddamn, we need to know this, y'all. But before we get into this shit, listen to some music, then we'll be right back.
Yeah, you don't know what I've been through. Hell, I might go do you. Oh, 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 no. Hey, 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 oh, no, it's all my mind.
Said I got from East PI. The witness of reality. You mad at me? Boy, how you gonna holler me? You want me to lollygag and talk that bullshit? I refuse to play, so I'm gonna speak that southern good shit. That harder than your hood shit. Little shit that make y'all niggas think about the trigger before you pull it. On liquor stores and banks, some folks got more than enough bullets to put that ass off in the sling. Don't claim no game. We the niggas that did that ain't no thing, but the chicken wang was still dope. How you gonna play a nigga like dildo? We outcast till it's over. Barbecue and never meal dough. For real, bro.
In tonight's news, 20th century technology. Has a computer-aged scientist and doctors gone too far? Einstein or Frankenstein? Dr. Scholl's or Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde? Are we digging into new ground or digging our own graves? Story at 11.
Of toxic, wasted doctors, computer bugging, debugging, device, and vice versa, and various viruses, performing with laser-like precision and verbal incision, for linguistic, ballistic lobotomy, mind-fucking you with psycho-sodomy of the blah-blah-blangata, exit your mind, on your spine and out your behind. Synthesizer, microwave me, give me a drug so I can make 7 babies. Pump my breath, so can you suck the fat up? Please make my life a bit like ain't no such thing as bad luck. My nose ain't right, think I need a new one. Just take your bigger yellow, red, or black, or a blue one. Virtual reality, virtual bullshit. Synthesizer preachers can reach it up in the pulpit. Who a bitch? Give me my gas so I can smoke this nigga. Tell his mama not to cry because they can call him quicker than it took his daddy to make him. Niggas writing verbatim, thought-provoking records, radio never play them. Instant, quick, rich, new, improve. Hurry, hurry, rush, rush, world on the move. Marijuana illegal, but cigarettes cool. I might look kinda funny, but ain't no fool. Now if you wanna synthesize, I empathize. Now if you wanna synthesize, I empathize. But if you synthesize, I will understand your synthesizer, man. she lap dance on your laptop while your laptop in your lap. Digital good time. Digital good time. Cyber sexy Wendy. Web walking in the digital good time. Digital good time. Say she tap dance on your laptop while your laptop's in your lap. Digital good time. Digital good time. Digital good time. Digital good time. Cyber sexy Wendy. We're walking in the digital good time. Digital good time. Fuzzy logic.
All right. We back. Hope you like that song. That was Outkast. I don't know which Outkast it was, but I'm pretty sure it was an Outkast mood today. So, fucking neuromarketing. The reason I made a podcast about this, because this is probably like the biggest, this is probably what the Snyder Cut movement is all about. And it's, I've been trying to sneak that out, like lately, not sneak it out, like I was trying to Trojan horse that shit. Neuromarketing. I've been talking about this shit for the fucking ever. Now, let me start by saying, like, have you ever thought about something and then you click Google to go look for what you thought about and it was already ready for you to type, already there? And you don't know how the fuck that happened? You ever think about something, not tell anybody, and then you go to Facebook and there's an ad, you don't even know how the fuck that happened? You ever fucking hate a corporation so much that you will spend 24 fucking hours a day, 365 days a year, talking about that corporation on the internet? The same place that you went and saw those ads that you didn't tell anybody about, or the same place that predictive text what you were gonna say that you didn't tell anybody about. The same place. You're also fighting corporations 365 days a year, 24/7, and you do not understand really what's going on, right? So, if you have felt any one of those things, you are, my friend, a victim of neuromarketing. Now, when you layer this on top of the Snyder Cut movement, it's fucking ridiculous huge, because a lot of people don't know really what the fuck this is, and a lot of people should know, because it's like pretty much data right now is the most valuable commodity on the planet. All right. They want to extract data from the person so the person can teach the AI system, machine learning, who's gonna eventually know more than you. So for them to teach this AI system, they need so much data, and they're getting it. And we're giving it to them. We're giving it to them with our cell phones, our TVs, our computer, location devices, all that shit is teaching humans. Because look, I put it in my podcast, and I've been coming, if you can go back and you can watch like at least the last 50, I don't know, but you can watch for a while, and I've been telling you, all right, you might look at it like it's some I heard somebody the other day say some shit like the secret societies really don't exist anymore, blah blah blah, all that shit. That's like the biggest lie the devil ever told. Now check this out. I'm gonna wind all this shit up with neuromarketing, right? And this movement. And then I'm gonna get out. I ain't gonna talk that long. Now, there's 2 stars. There's a right side up 5-pointed star, which is like man holding his hand out, the Vitruvian man. And then there's a upside down star, which is beast. It looks like a goat with a chin. So now, the beast is the reptilian form of your brain. The fucking part of your brain that can get controlled if someone can tap into it, pretty much. Because it does the same things. It's like fight, flight, feed, and fuck. That's it. No, but no, it's that's not it. It's responsible for a lot of shit. You know, it handles your breathing that you can't do. It's responsible for all your subconscious reactions that you're gonna do regardless. That's your reptilian brain. Now, you can go higher than that to your crown, and that's your star right side up. You're like the highest elevation of man. You're like fucking Bruce Wayne. Or you can be a beast. You'll be controlled. Now, I'm going to say the same shit in, like, you can think like a consumer, the guy that's just coming in to buy the candy or whatever. Or you can think like the man behind the register, like Ghostface said. I think like the man behind the register. You can think like the guy who's really tricking the guy out of his money that came to his store to buy candy. It's total different mindsets. Now, throughout history, there's this one crew that created the banking industry and all this shit. They're these Jewish people. Some people call them fake Jews or whatever, but these Jewish people have been getting fucked up throughout history because people say don't deal with them. Don't deal with them. You're not hearing me. Don't deal with them. Don't hang out with them. Don't make deals with them because they're gonna trick you out of your money in the end is what they felt. So all throughout history, kings killed these people. But they just had a higher form of communication. Like on The Hobbit, when Bilbo was talking to the dragon, he tricked the dragon, you know? They just have so higher forms of communication. That's how this banking system even works, because they tricked us to pay interest and taxes, right? And they're small. The elite is not big as us, but they tricked us. They have a mind matrix over us. They have a mind spell over us. That's what GODEEP is about. That's what this fucking movement is going on. You know, I hate to say it because a lot of my friends are in this movement. But a lot of these guys, we're under a spell. We fall for what the corporations tell us. But the corporations have been practicing this magic forever. And that's what GODEEP is about. You know, so now I'm going to really start going deep and start telling you this fucking neuromarketing. Because, of course, don't we in TPZ, don't we have a neurosurgeon? Isn't Knopf a neurosurgeon? I'm pretty sure he is. Pretty sure. But isn't Warner Brothers using AI technology to see what movies they have to market? Reading our chats? But I'm going to show you they're reading our brains. I'm probably going to show you we were all test subjects to get our brain read. That's what this probably was all about. But I ain't going to talk that much. I'm going to put white people in here. So then when the white people say it, you'll be like, damn, Peely was right this whole time. You know, so it went from these fucking bankers to the royal family to the aristocrats to the secret societies, back to the bankers. And they all use this one form of communication, like puts the masses in a matrix and turn us into a bunch of customers. And I swear it's still going on today. And I swear it's in our movement. Just think, does any of this shit happens in our movement? Do we get beat down 24/7? Yes, we do. Do we get fucking attention grabbed, manipulated? Yes, we do. All of this shit is in it. You'll see, this movement was test for neuromarketing. And I'm going to show you. Go Deep, episode 243. Yeah, bitch.
About 100 years ago, companies in the Western world ran into a problem. Consumers had everything they needed, and so the companies came up with a great idea.
You just can't beat a Lucky Strike. Terrific new busy day dessert.
Persuade people that they need more things, even things they didn't really know they needed. And nowadays, companies are studying your brain to get you to keep buying more stuff. This is called neuromarketing, and
neuromarketing is like marketing on steroids.
Companies know us better than we know ourselves.
The brand exists nowhere else but in the mind of the consumers.
We're going to tell you how companies are getting into your head.
In the 1950s, a clever marketer shocked the world with an astonishing experiment. He flashed the messages, "Drink Coca-Cola and eat popcorn" on a cinema screen too briefly for the audience to even notice. He claimed this had people rushing to the counters in droves to buy Coke and popcorn.
If this story sounds too good to be true, then that's because it is. Thankfully, we're not that easy to brainwash.
Turned out it was all BS. He made that up. There's no such thing as a brain's buy button.
This is Prince Guman, a marketing professional. He and neuroscientist Matt Johnson wrote a book on how companies tailor their marketing to our brains. So the good thing is, we are not mindless shopping zombies. But we do make a lot of our decisions subconsciously. And that's where neuromarketing comes in. Companies are trying to better understand how our brain works to figure out what we really want.
Traditional marketing studies work like this. Someone will ask me, do you want an apple or do you want a chocolate bar? And I'd say, I of course want the apple. But do I really want the apple?
So we feel as if we're in control. We feel as if we're the author of our decisions and we're thinking through these things very rationally. But study after study after study shows that we are extremely irrational and that we're, generally speaking, pretty unaware of the full range of factors which ultimately inform and sometimes actually decide the different behaviors and paths that we take.
In short, we don't always know what we want. We don't know if we actually want the apple or if we prefer the chocolate bar. But our brain doesn't lie.
And that's why neuromarketers have adopted a range of technologies in their marketing studies to see what's happening under the hood inside consumers' brains. Functional magnetic resonance imaging and electroencephalograms measure activity in the brain. Eye tracking shows where we direct our attention, and heart rate and skin conductance show what we find exciting.
For better or worse, people are complex and the brain is really complex.
Uma Karmakar is a scholar whose research revolves around how we make decisions.
What neuroscience does is it gives us access to some of these emotional elements or these elements that might not be fully conscious and tells us a little bit more about some of the things that might also be contributing to people's experiences and choices.
Take Cheetos, for example. When its parent company Frito-Lay asked consumers how they felt about the brand, many said, well, it's a bit of a kid's snack. But when they looked at their brains, it turned out people got a real kick out of getting their fingers messy with this orange dust that they're covered in. It is fun.
There was something subversive about that orange dust on your fingers. There was something a little unusual about it. And people kind of enjoyed it, even though it was not that respectable.
You know, other people are trying to do their laundry too.
Frito-Lay took these findings and built an entire ad campaign around this feeling of subversive pleasure.
Those are her whites in the dryer.
It became a huge success.
More and more businesses are investing in this type of research, most of which is happening in secret.
Through neuroscience, but also with the help of psychology and behavioral economics, they get a pretty good idea of what makes us tick. And they use this knowledge to get us to buy more of their stuff.
Now I'm going to give you 4 examples of this that you've probably seen in your everyday life.
1. They wear you down. Our brain operates in 2 different thinking modes. There's what's called System 1, which is fast, unconscious and automatic, and then there's System 2, which is deliberate and conscious, but takes a lot of effort.
If I ask you, what is your name? System 1 will immediately have an answer to that question. But if I ask you, what is 23 times 48, you're going to have to switch to System 2. This requires effort. Now imagine you're going grocery shopping.
You have to find your way around the different aisles and make loads of decisions in a short amount of time. When you finally get to the checkout counter, you're tired.
One way in which you can get somebody to be more System 1 oriented is actually through wearing them down. So System 2, very resource intensive, requires a lot of metabolic resources. When we're tired, when we're malnourished, we're much more likely to go with a much more impulsive System 1 response.
And that's why right at the end of your shopping trip, retailers tempt you with loads and loads of sugary snacks that you might just pick up at the very last moment. And shopping malls exploit the same situation. They're confusing, they're overwhelming, they're quite frankly exhausting, so you're more prone to spend money on something you might not even need. 2, they tell you what the right price is.
Let's say you walk into a store and you see a bottle of wine for, I don't know, let's say $15. Your brain doesn't really know if this is a lot or if this is not a lot, so it's immediately starting to look for some context.
Typically, people don't really have a sense of price. Like, they don't really know how much wine should cost or what's the right price of a wine.
This is Moran Cerf, a computer hacker turned neuroscientist and business professor.
The people create their kind of impressions of the price range, not by knowledge, by information, but rather by kind of sampling reality.
And the store will happily give your brain a reality to latch onto by placing a second bottle next to it costing $50. Now your brain thinks $15, that's actually a pretty good deal, so it's very likely you're going to buy this bottle.
Our brains are like ships. We're looking for places to anchor, right? And adding any sort of context or understanding of value, having an anchor helps.
3, they keep you on the treadmill.
Another quirk of our brain that brands are using is that it's constantly seeking pleasure. And the key word here is seeking.
Once you're experiencing a sort of thing that you wanted, you don't just get to bask in that pure pleasure for a long time. It's not the type of emotion which is enduring over time. And that's a very, very good thing for brands.
Because pleasure is so fleeting, brands keep sending us to what's called the hedonic treadmill.
The iPhone 6, the iPhone 6S, this is iPhone 7, iPhone 11, the iPhone 12.
Right, let's say you buy iPhone 8. It's a brand new physical design and you're loving it. And just like clockwork, 12 months later, 8S comes out. Whatever pleasure you got from achieving and purchasing the iPhone is now immediately gone. And now you're looking to, again, jump on the hedonic treadmill and chase the next pleasure.
4, they hide little nudges in plain sight.
So, you remember that cinema story from the beginning? Subliminal marketing messages like this, so things that we can't pick up on consciously, are actually illegal in most countries. But a few companies must have thought, well, why don't we just hide them in plain sight?
Check out this ad from KFC. See anything unusual? Well, look again. There's an actual dollar bill photoshopped into the burger, which happens to cost $1. And check out this can. Coca-Cola made it look like it's smiling to tie in with its brand image of happiness. And in literally every ad for watches, the time is set to 10 past 10, because that makes it look like the watch is smiling at you. These types of subtle hints are called primers.
So I would say right now, controversial, but the priming works. That said, we still teach that in school, in business school, as kind of a mechanism people should be aware of, because it's easy to implement. So if for the small chance that it does work, why not try it if you're trying to kind of sell something?
So if you see a 1010 watch, you're not compelled by some physical force to go out and do everything you can to buy it. But if you're already feeling like buying a watch, and maybe you're already favorable towards the brand, that additional data point is going to push you maybe a little bit further.
And this is not limited to visual triggers. An experiment showed that if a wine store plays French music, customers buy more French wine. And if it plays German music, they buy more German wine.
A lot of this stuff is hiding in archives for companies, and it is in their best interest not to reveal it. But we would be silly to think that this isn't part of the experiential design that companies are creating to better engage with the consumers.
So, where does all this leave us? Are we ultimately just puppets without a will of our own, buying whatever corporations throw our way? Or do we have a choice?
Total mindless behavior is rare. Total control is also rare. And in between, there's a wide gray area, and we can move the needle between whether to make choices that are very informed and very kind of thorough, or very impulsive and not too thorough.
If you like something, that's going to be the most important determinant of whether or not you choose to spend money on it, or your time on it, or your resources in general on it. And that speaks a lot to the power that we have as consumers and individuals.
Now, neuromarketing is a very powerful tool. It gives companies access to something that even we don't have access to most of the time, our subconscious. But just knowing that and knowing how our brain works can already help us make better decisions. Have you ever come across any of the things we've shown you in the video? Let us know. What was that? Did you see that? Anyway, let us know in the comments and hit subscribe for more.
In the wise words of Adele, hello. My name is Prince Guman, and I'm here to reveal the unknown person you will all marry for the rest of your life. Talking about marketing. To show you just how deep this relationship goes, I will connect the dots between data, AI, and neuromarketing, which is the application of neuroscience to marketing. And I want to start by telling you a true story about a father. Not just any father, an angry father. This father showed up at his local Target store demanding to speak to the store manager. He was upset about the inappropriate coupons Target was sending his teen daughter. They all fit a very particular theme: baby diapers, bottles, baby clothes. I can see why he was upset. His next conversation with the manager, though, was deeply apologetic. Turns out, Target knew what the father did not. His daughter was pregnant. How did Target know? No, the store manager was not the baby's daddy. Target knew because of artificial intelligence. And there are three things that are really crazy about this case. One, the daughter had not browsed any pregnancy-related items at all. Two, Target predicted the pregnancy primarily using two sources of data offline: credit cards and the Target discount card. Three, this took place 10 years ago. To put that in perspective for you, the most popular TV show at that time was Jersey Shore. That's when Snooki entered our vocabulary, and we're all worse for it. Target's story is the past. Let's talk about the present. Today, brands cannot just predict future behavior, but they can also model it by combining AI with neuroscience. One of the ways to do this is by using ocean analysis. When it comes to psychology-based personality theories, ocean analysis is number one, Max is number two. The acronym OCEAN represents 5 different key core personality traits: openness, conscientiousness, extroversion, agreeableness, and neuroticism. Your OCEAN profile is your score on each of these traits. OCEAN analysis can predict a range of outcomes, from relationship success, which is high agreeableness, to racism, which is low openness. Today, it is the most valid form of personality analysis available and is freakishly accurate at predicting and modeling your future behavior. Here's a free #life hack. Instead of reading your horoscopes, go take an OCEAN test. You'll learn a lot more about yourself. Imagine a world where people walked around with their OCEAN scores on their forehead. How persuasive would marketing be then? That's exactly what happened. It took place in the political arena. I'm talking about Brexit and the US presidential election of Donald Trump. So, Cambridge created simple Facebook surveys that 270,000 people took. Surveys were a bit like this. Which Beatles band member are you? Or which Harry Potter house you belong to? I took that one. Shout out to Hufflepuffs. The actual questions of the surveys were trivial because taking the survey provided Cambridge access to all of your Facebook data. So all the participants' Facebook data was in the hands of Cambridge, but also their friends as well. At the end of the day, Cambridge walked away with data from 87 million people. And technically, this is what's scary, they did so without breaking the law. Next, they used this data to create unique ocean profiles for each person. Then they used this profile to create hyper-personal ads. For example, people who are rated high on neuroticism and conscientiousness and are therefore paranoid were shown a pro-Trump ad that showed an armed break-in by a burglar. The ad read, and this is verbatim, "The Second Amendment isn't just a right, it's an insurance policy. Defend the right to bear arms. Vote for Donald Trump." So combining ocean analysis with AI, it helped create highly persuasive messages which can be perfectly, and I mean perfectly tailored to your personality. Welcome to the world of Psych AI, our new reality. The target case was the past. Cambridge is the present. What about the future? Meet Shudu and Coffee Graham. What do Shudu and Coffee have in common? 1, they're supermodels. 2, I have a shot with neither of them. Because 3, they're fake. They are deep fakes, digitally generated supermodels who have convinced consumers of their actual existence. And they have contracts from the likes of Gucci, Fendi, and Tom Ford. If the technology to create convincing deep fakes of supermodels exists, what's to stop someone from creating a deep fake of me? Let's be honest. That's like asking a Ferrari engineer to make a Hyundai. Yes, they can do it. Yes, they will do it because of something called the cocktail party effect. Imagine this scenario. We're at a crowded party, having a couple drinks, catching up with a close friend. You're sucked into your conversation, completely oblivious to the chatter of voices all around you. Then, all of a sudden, you hear it. Your name. Their name. 10 seconds ago, you had no idea the person who said it even existed, but now your attention is completely focused in that direction. That's the cocktail party effect. This is something that psychologists have known about since the 1950s. It even works when you're asleep. A part of your brain stays awake listening and paying attention for your name. Recent research has revealed that we have a special kind of attention, not just for our names, but for our faces as well. In other words, there is a thing called the visual cocktail party effect. It's not a matter of if our faces will be used by the brands, but when and how. And here are 2 very easy ways. 1, social media. Imagine scrolling mindlessly through your newsfeed. And maybe you're the one person who claims to never click any of the ads you see, but how could you not when the person modeling those fancy new sunnies is you? You don't even have to consciously see that it's your face. The face doesn't even have to look exactly like you, just close enough to draw your attention. Mission accomplished for the ad. Second, face swap. Face swap videos. Imagine placing your face on another person's body in a digital video. There's a piece of tech called Zao that allows you to insert yourself as a character in a famous movie. The ad that introduced the app showed scenes from Inception with a completely different human being playing the role of Leonardo DiCaprio. Crazy, right? I don't know about you, but I'm kind of excited about this. On paper, this tech sounds pretty great. I can finally live up my dream of not just singing like Adele, but being Adele. Hello, it's me. Now imagine face swaps technology being used to advertise something serious, like insurance. What would hit you harder than seeing a video of paramedics pulling your dead body out of a car crash? Call AIG now for your insurance quotes. The exact form of this new way of personalized face ads remains to be seen. One thing is for sure. The tech behind face-based ads is already being worked on. The culture of hyper-personalization already exists. Along with it, going to be massive opportunities for brands, fresh headaches for regulators, which, by the way, their understanding of AI goes as far as spelling it, especially in the States, and new puzzles for philosophers. Where do we go from here? Before I answer that, I want to take a minute to tell you why I'm here. Only a lunatic would ever sign a prenuptial agreement written in a foreign language. That is exactly what I did when I agreed to the terms and conditions of a little app called FaceApp. You may remember it. The app went viral by letting people upload photos of themselves and their friends and seeing what you might look like 40 years older, or as an infant, or as the opposite gender. All good fun, but it raised a lot of eyebrows regarding data safety and privacy. Forbes estimates that FaceApp now owns the digital faces of over 150 million people. I'm one of them. You are too. It may not be FaceApp. It may be the app you use to track your period, to track your nutrition, your calories, your workouts. You signed this prenup too. As a marketer, I felt gross and guilty. As a consumer, I felt used. And it's a weird cognitive dissonance because I play both sides of the field. As a marketer, all I want to do is create amazing experiences and just epic, epic products for you all to fall in love with without creeping you out. As a consumer, I want to be oohed and awed. I want to be charmed and flirted with by brands. I want to fall in love with products. Just don't creep me out, man. That's why I'm here. I'm here to bridge that gap between marketing and consumers. And in order to achieve that, to have a healthy relationship with consumerism, here are my 3 takeaways. These apply both to consumers and marketers. 1, money is an outdated form of payment in the digital world. You still think transactions happen only when you pay. That mindset is outdated. Think about it. What is money? Money is a transfer of value. In the digital world, money does not need to change hands for someone to extract value from you. Every time you use discount cards, take a quiz, share a photo, a new type of value is being extracted from you. You're paying with the new international currency, your data. 2, break the addiction of free. Break the addiction of free. It's too easy to point a finger on Facebook and say you're abusing data, but you got to look at the 3 pointing back at you. You spend more money on avocado toast than you do on your own privacy every year. Companies like Facebook are not nonprofits. To run a digital country of 2.5 billion people, it's not free. Since you're not willing to pay for those apps, that entire platform, companies are going to find other ways to extract value from you. And they have, by monetizing your data. Look, we had a good run. We got really drunk off of free content, and we got super high on social media. Okay? It's time to wake up from this bender. As the old saying goes, there's no free lunch. In the digital world, there's no free app. 3, demand fair trade apps. If you're willing to pay for ad-free apps, why not tracking-free apps? That's what I mean by fair trade apps. It's ironic that we know more about where the coffee at Starbucks comes from and less about where our data goes when you connect to the Wi-Fi. It's easy to forget that not too long ago, organic food was not a thing. It was not until consumers, you, started to demand it and were willing to pay for it that it became a thing. Paid, private, alternate versions of apps are not an option right now because you're not demanding them and you're certainly not ready to pay for them. Time to change that. My name is Prince Guman, and I'm a neuromarketer. More importantly, I am a believer. I'm a believer in consumer power, in your power. If you decide to demand it and pay for it, they will build it. If you want a healthy relationship with marketing, you have 2 options. Option A, like Adele, you can sit there and cry about it. Option B, like Beyonce, you can do something about it. When it comes to your inescapable marriage with marketing, be like Beyonce. That is an idea worth spreading. Thank you.
What's up, brand builders? Stephen Harahan here at brandmasteracademy.com, and in this video you're going to learn 6 neuromarketing hacks to build your brand so you can appeal to your audience's primitive nature and give them what their reptilian brain subconsciously wants. Now, if you're new to the channel and you want to build brands that go beyond visuals using strategy, psychology, and creative thinking, then you're in the right place. Hit that subscribe button and the notification bell, and you'll be well on your way. And to fast track your learning, make sure you grab the Pro Brand Strategy Blueprint. The link is in the description. Now, we've learned a lot over the last 10 to 20 years through neuroscience in why we do what we do and how we behave the way we behave. I say we, I mean, I haven't done any real research myself. I've just read some books. But either way, it's naturally progressed on to marketing and neuromarketing. And we're using this now to better understand our audiences, better understand what they're going through and why they make the decisions that they make, so we can shape our messaging to influence them and to give them exactly what they want. So what is neuromarketing? Well, neuromarketing leverages neuroscience, and that's leveraging our understanding in the way the human brain works and the way we behave as people, so we can better understand individual audiences, to understand what they need and what they want, so we can better give them what they want. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean that our audience knows exactly what they want. In fact, for the most part, they make most of their decisions. You make most of your decisions, I make most of my decisions, and our audiences make most of their decisions through the reptilian brain. Now, the reptilian brain is over 500 million years old, and it's evolved over time to keep us alive. So we trust that. And the decisions that are made there are made within a nanosecond, and they are made within our subconscious. We don't even realize it's being done. We don't even realize that we're making a decision. So neuromarketing is about understanding that brain, understanding what that brain is looking for, and then tailoring our messaging to appeal to that brain. Now, before we go on, why don't we address the big elephant in the room, which is the fact that the idea of neuromarketing is manipulation. You know, we're trying to understand the human brain so we can manipulate what they're thinking. And look, you know, there is an argument for that, but realistically, this really depends on who is using neuromarketing. There are some companies out there who will leverage neuromarketing as far as it will go to really manipulate people and really to try and trick them into buying something that they don't need. But you can use neuromarketing at its basic form to just understand who your audience is, to better give them what they need. Now, let me give you an example of this. Let's say you're about to go on a date with somebody, with a friend of a friend, and you want to make the best possible impression. So you'll use what you know about that sex and about what that particular person likes. So you might wear a nice shirt, you might wear nice cologne and a pair of nice shoes. You might have some interesting topics to talk about. You might even go so far as to asking your mutual friend what this person likes, what's their favorite color, what are their favorite flowers, and go in as best prepared as you can. Now, that is perfectly okay. There is absolutely nothing wrong with that. But if you take it a little bit further and you were to go to that person's house and go through their bin and look for information that you can use, or you stalk their Facebook page, well, no, that's not okay. So there is a balancing act here in terms of what's okay and what's not. And the best way that you can get that right is by using a filter of ethics, using a filter of honesty. Is what I'm doing honest? Is there an ethical issue with what I'm doing here? And if the answer is no, then you can use neuromarketing at its most basic form to just understand who your audience is and understand what it is that they're really looking for. So now that you know that neuromarketing is a powerful tool to be used only for good, now let's dive in and have a look at 6 hacks that you can use to build your brand. Hack number 1, leverage sensual branding. So here you're leveraging all of the different senses. You're leveraging sight, sound, smell, taste. So what does your brand look like? What kind of colors are you using? What kind of style do you have? Typography, image style are you using? What about the sounds that you're using as well? The sounds before your YouTube videos or the sounds within your social posts? And what about the smells? Do you have a physical premises, and can you infuse that premises with a unique smell that they're going to remember? So you're leveraging all of the senses here within your brand experience to give them something unique that they can take away. Hack number 2, understand price and value perceptions. Now, this has been used for years. When you go into a shop and you see something for $9.99 or $9.95, really it's $10. But when we see $10, the perception is that it's at a higher price, even though the difference is negligible. And when you understand that, when you understand pricing perception, and you also understand value perception, so value is where you add bonuses or extras on top of what you're giving them for a certain price so that they feel they're getting the better deal in terms of value price trade-off. If you're able to load the value and if you're able to use price perception, then you can really understand what the primitive brain is looking for and give them what they're looking for. Hack number 3, offer a micro commitment. Now, chances are when somebody comes across your brand for the first time, they're not going to be ready to do business with you, purely because today, on average, we need at least 7 to 8 touch points, possibly more, to really kind of register your brand for the first time. So you need to give opportunities for micro commitments. Now, what micro commitments will do is it will help to change the relationship between you and your audience. And you can kill 2 birds with 1 stone here. First of all, you change the relationship in the fact that there is some kind of commitment there, even though it is really small, and you give them value in exchange for that commitment. And you also get the opportunity to follow up with them later on. So you really want to make sure that you're putting out offers of micro commitments so you can start to change the relationship and really have the ability to follow up on multiple touch points. Hack number 4, leverage scarcity. Now, look, this has been done quite a bit to the point that it is kind of getting old hat. And if you have fake scarcity in there, as in, you know, this offer is going to end in 20 seconds, or, you know, this offer is, there's only 2 available, and that is fake, and you can feel that that's fake, well, then it can have the opposite effect. But if you do understand the neuroscience behind scarcity and the fact that we are fearful of missing out on an opportunity, then you can leverage that. The key here is to make sure that that opportunity does feel like a real opportunity, that it is in fact a real opportunity. So you need to create an environment where you have those opportunities every now and again. If it's there full time as a scarcity tactic and there's no real scarcity there, then it's not going to have the real effect. But if you use scarcity from time to time as seasoning just here and there, then it can have a really, really impactful effect. Hack number 5, give them simple. Now, this seems like a very, very simple hack, and it is very simple, but it is hugely, hugely effective, because neuroscience has told us that the primitive brain makes these decisions based on a small amount of simple information. Now, if you overload your audience with complex information, if you try to flex your muscles and show them that you know all of these technical terms, then chances are you're going to scare them away and you're going to confuse them, because that's not going to be what makes the decision. The reptilian brain is what makes the decision, and you need to be as simple as possible. And there's this term called decision paralysis as well, where if you don't make it easy for them to choose an option, if you don't make it easy for them to buy, if you give them too many options, they'll get overwhelmed and they'll abandon whatever offer you've put in front of them. So make sure you simplify everything within your brand, from your website copy to your UX to everything within your brand experience. Make sure everything is simplified and take away that complexity. Take away any opportunity that they will have to run away because you're too complex. Simplify everything and make it easy for them. Hack number 6, leverage the power of empathy. Now, empathy is hugely, hugely powerful, because if you think about your own life, for example, if you think about the people that you tend to gravitate towards, well, you tend to push away from those who are takers, those who spend time talking about themselves, who don't take the time to understand who you are or to ask questions about who you are. They instead spend all their time talking about themselves, worrying about themselves, and trying to get whatever they can. So if you think, on the other hand, about people who give, people who take the time to understand who you are, to ask you questions, to really take the time to listen to the answers that you give them, then you'll feel connected to that person just because they've taken that interest, they've taken the time to understand you, and that empathy is really, really impactful. So bring that into your business. Understand who it is your audience is and what they're going through, what emotions they have attached to whatever they're going through, and use that empathy. Show them that you understand, show them that you care, and that will be really impactful. They will store you in an important part of their brain that you have made a connection with them. You've shown some interest and you've given them that understanding. And as I said, that is hugely impactful. Now look, neuroscience and neuromarketing, it's relatively new. It's really only in the last 20 years that we've made these real advancements, and who knows where that's going to be in the next 20 years. And it's kind of scary when you think about it, but without going into too much detail and without projecting too far into the future, take this. If you only take one thing from this video, take this, that as people, we are simple and we have primitive needs. Now, our brains make decisions in our subconscious, and they make those decisions based on the simplest of information. So if you understand that, if you understand that that's how your audiences behave, if that's how they make decisions, then you can appeal to that simplicity, you can appeal to that reptilian brain, and you can give them what they want through your messaging and through your brand experience.
South Suicide Queens, all niggas, gather up all your arms, get ready for this new world order. Shit is about to change, motherfucker. I'm America's nightmare, young, black, and just don't give a fuck. I just wanna get high, live it up, so fucking 5-5. And Whitey tryna slave us with minimum wages, slamming my niggas up in cages, changing their behaviors and spitting razors, that's outrageous. Smoking moches is hopeless. We want lazy sofas and sculptures, ladies chauffeurs who fuck us for house and royal flushes. Roll with the rushes, that official nass. Got bitches with pistols and cash. We living in the last. My theory is fuck it. Sexy niggas get deducted. My corrupted is conducted through ghetto, sipping on Moretto. Hand on the metal, foot on the pedal. Never settle. We want Carolina Herrera, dirty Donna Cara sweaters, rough over levers and sways, gold plated guns and grenades to blow up. I got news from the informers. I'm trapped in corners, busting shots at Simon Warners. My man Big Top, he know how to get by. Get high with jigs, then be fixed to be fly. Submit, crossing up and downtown action. And when he sticky, keep a grip and move with traction. Keep mad alibis, a plan to stay wise and wide-eyed. Living in the state of Southside. Crooked jakes and fake snake niggas all out for papes. Or who wanna overtake you, leave them with drapes. So white sheet covers this heat, smothers the street, eat brothers. Six shots ring, do got bang. We all ready for these wars. We all want more. These the last days. It's yours. 32 shots, asserted the glass. You heard it for blacks. The murder who got convertible drops. Living life on the edge of dangerous. Way you living, never giving a shit. Cause we living in it. Cause it be you off the hook. Crooks crash. Cheaper spots and selling rocks. The cops around the clock. It's hot. Living life on the edge of dangerous. Way you living, never giving a shit. Cause we living in it. Thinking about taking my own life. I might as well. Except they might not sell weed in hell. And that's where I'm going, cause the devil's inside them. They make me ride for my own nationality. That's kinda ignorant, but yo, I gotta pay the rent. So yeah, I'll stick a nigga, that's definite. The degenerate, if I can get him innocent. Cause I don't leave no sticky fingerprint. For the cops, they only good if they dead. And all that badge and the gun shit be going to their head. To break bread, I gotta steal for sports. So I stole a show and made some pennies for my thoughts. And if this fucking rap shit don't pay, I'ma start selling drugs around my way. Killing my uncle in the USG. Shit, they gon' get it from somebody, I'd rather it be me. Besides, they can't tax dirty money. And you can't trust nobody. No one. a scorpion, and I'll probably bite the bullet, cause I live by the gun. Heavy hitters, 25 to light bitters who just came out and pulling flame out. Say game, blow your brains out. It's life on the edge of dangerous. Way you living, never giving a shit, cause we living in it. It's South Suicide Queens when niggas act up. Nigga, back up. Official ass, throw your fucking guts up. It's life on the edge of dangerous. Way you living, never giving a shit, cause we living in it. We never giving a shit, cause we living in it. Official ass motherfuckers don't give a shit. Word up. I need 4 Dutchess.